Udi Peled is the head of the successful Kibbutz Ramat Yohanan in northern Israel, and he's here in the studio with us. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
So let's go back to the basics. Can you explain what a kibbutz is to our viewers who aren't really familiar with the movement?
Well, you know, the Kibbutzim movement started in 1910, it's 106 years ago, in Degania, which is a small kibbutz in the Jordan Valley near the Sea of Galilee. Since then, most of the Kibbutzim were born before the state of Israel, before 48. Since then, there is 278 Kibbutzim, which accounts to about less than 2% of the Israeli population, about 160,000 population. Members is less, but including children and everybody. Kibbutzim started with agriculture, but in the 60s of last century, the Industrial Revolution came to the Kibbutzim. At that time, polymers, polystyrene, polypropylene, polyethylene, all this was new materials, and actually this was high-tech at that time. And also the industrial process was a lot of automatization, and this was very good for the Kibbutzim because they didn't want to employ a lot of Salarians from outside to exploit the work of other people. So most of the plastics industry in Israel today is held by the Kibbutzim, including in my kibbutz in Palram.
And so everybody shares the land and works for the same pay no matter what they do, which is very different than the capitalistic life that you typically see in Israel, right?
Well, you know, this is right for the traditional kibbutz. Today, out of the 278 kibbutzim, there is about 60 kibbutzim which are still traditional kibbutz, like Ramat Yohanan. Other kibbutzim have already undergone some changes. One of the major changes is that in a lot of kibbutzim in Israel today, your earnings is yours. Still, you have to pay quite heavy taxes to the municipality or to the community, actually, in order to finance for infrastructure, for education. So a lot of equal services for all members, no matter what is their earnings, but still, great part of your earning is yours today. In Ramat Yohanan, which is still a traditional kibbutz, we are still living by the motto which says everybody contributes as much as he can and receives from community as much as he needs. And this is there is no correlation, of course, because when you're young and able, you can contribute a lot. When you are old, sick maybe, still you get like everybody. So everybody get the same budget. Doesn't matter if you are the chairman or the CEO of the factory or any other job in the kibbutz or outside the kibbutz, because there is about 100 people, 100 members which work outside the kibbutz and bring salaries to the communal cash.
So it's very interesting for people who aren't accustomed to this type of life. You know, if you're making the same pay no matter what you do, if you're head of the kibbutz or if you're working in the laundry room, how do people stay motivated? What is the motivation? Do you go to university? Are you still interested in going to university even if you know you have this financial backing constantly?
Well, when the kibbutz started, the kibbutzim movement started, there was no much assets, no much wealth, so there's not so much to share. Today, it's a little bit problematic. For me, I was born 70 years ago in the kibbutz. For me, it's natural. My motivation is not coming from money. My motivation is coming from contributing to society, social recognition, family, whatever you want, not money, because nobody judges me by money. If you go, for example, in Israel, you go to Miluim sometimes, for the first day, somebody comes with a big Mercedes or something, and say, I'm a lawyer, I'm some advocate.
Miluim is Army Reserve.
Yeah, but after 10 days, when you are there in the mud, and you are there, then who you are, doesn't matter. In the first day, you came with a very big car, you have a lot of money, you live in a very nice neighborhood, but we don't know who you are, because when it became a little bit difficult for everybody, we know who helped other people, who is my real friend. In the kibbutz, we are born and die more or less in the same neighborhood. So we know a lot, all the people, most of the people for all our lives. So I know you, who you are. Doesn't matter if you make an earning or you inherited a fortune or won it in the lottery, or even if you're able. I know you for so many years, so I don't appreciate you by your money. I appreciate you by personality.
So this motivation still exists, which is what's so beautiful.
This is internal motor. It's not by external money motivation.
Right.
By the way, it is proven that also in the capitalistic world, money is not in the first degree for motivation.
Right. So Kibbutz Ramat Yohanan also has a leading international plastic company.
Right.
And we spoke about this before. There are lots of kibbutzim that have these amazing new companies or global powerhouses. Why are so many kibbutzim creating such successful businesses?
Well, this is very difficult to explain, but I would say, for example, because we know each other for so many years and we are neighbors and we are a big family, we cannot have, for example, confrontations on a big scale, because I cannot tell you, go to my friend, go to hell. because next day in the kindergarten we have to sit together with our children. So there is no big conflict. We have to solve the conflicts. Well, for example, this is a strength. You have to solve conflicts by compromise.
It's interesting. And so even with all this money coming in, you don't think that that's going to influence the future of the kibbutzim? Are they going to stay together, or are they going to privatize?
Well, first of all, as I said before, about among the 278, only 60 is traditional kibbutz. But you know, the kibbutzim movement is built on 4 stories. There is the kibbutz and the kibbutz economy. Let's take it from the economical side. Kibbutz economy, like the factory, and there is the regional organization in which we have the factory which belongs to some kibbutzim of the region, and then there is the national enterprises, insurance company, other things, and then there's the kibbutzim movement, which represent us for government inside and outside. So the kibbutz economy is built on it's not the kibbutz on its own. The kibbutz is part also of a kibbutzim movement in the region, and this is also a point of strength.
Interesting. So, you know, do you think it would be possible to create kibbutzim in other parts of the world? Is this something that can be copied in the developing world to, you know, help poverty maybe?
I tell you, this is done. This is done, and people come from all over the world in order to try, let's say, copy-paste the kibbutz system, but not exactly, because in the world, you know, there is a problem of urbanization. People come, maybe Israel is the only state in which people go from the city to the village or to the kibbutz. Most of the countries, you have a very big problem of urbanization, and people want to try to copy the system of making this kind of kibbutzim. When I was 16 years old, this is about 50 years ago, there came a group from Japan. Japan is an island nation, state.
Right.
And they have one island, which is Hokkaido, which is, at that time at least, was a very devastated island. They cannot start to build an island by city. When Degania was built, Tel Aviv didn't exist. You have to start with small settlements, and then there will be urbanization and urbanic centers. And they wanted to copy the kibbutzim. I had a brother and sister from Japan at that time. Both of them live in Tokyo today, by the way. So yes, people try to copy this system, not exactly, of course, not a copy-paste, but to adapt it, because kibbutz is a cooperative. At the end of the day, kibbutz is a cooperative based on 3 main elements. One is that everybody are owners of all the property, whether it is the factory, real estate, or agriculture. Second, this is a direct democracy, like in Athens of old Greece, because we have the General Assembly. The number of members of the kibbutz, my kibbutz, which is quite a big kibbutz, is only 450. We can assemble in one big dining hall and make vote and decisions. And the third one is the mutual aid or mutual responsibility, one for all for one. So in Purim or we dine together, we celebrate together, but we also go to the funeral together, and we really know each other for love. And today, in the modern world, you know a lot of people sometimes for 10 seconds. You will not see them anymore. So you don't care so much. We are born and we die with the same, more or less. Of course, we know all the people out of the kibbutz, but in the kibbutz, we know each other for so many years. So there's a certain...
It's a codependence and a responsibility for each other.
Yeah,
well,
right.
What's so beautiful is that, you know, your kibbutz has continued to be successful in this country, and the kibbutzim are such an important part of Israel. And we'd love to have you come back again. Thank you so much for coming in.
Just to tell you, just few numbers. The kibbutzim, as I said, is less than 2%, but the kibbutzim, which is less than 2% of the population, are responsible for more than 40% of all the agriculture output, about 8-9% of all the industrial output, most of it for export, and also, I'm not talking about security, army, but also in the energy today. So the kibbutzim.
So Israel should be really thanking the kibbutzim, bottom line.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.